is inconvenient in some way or the other, right? There's questions that that are proprietary information or that have like stuff that if you want that cannot be disclosed because it is not materialized yet, and disclosing it would mean okay, it turned out to be wrong. Kind of making predictions and stuff. There's also always these types of questions. So
no, the problem is just English.
Yeah,
English is not so perfect to very well explain something, or
yeah.
sometimes some terms are very difficult for me to
I can do my best to explain. So yeah,
we need to be easy.
Yeah, I will make sure that I will make the questions as easy as possible, even though I'm not the perfect journalist. I don't even do this.
And I'm not a perfect speaker.
So me, I mean, I do this just like to kind of okay, who did I meet? Why do I do this? Why am I enjoying this and stuff? And to maybe show other people. Maybe it turns out to be like a written magazine, and then I can write this down. And I know journalists. I've been talking to a couple of journalists in fashion, and maybe the information the information that you give or the interview that we have now, it can be used for a magazine. I'm not sure, but just to have like the possibility of where this can all go, and then maybe have some content around this, and just to have like possibilities to kind of open the market a bit more. Whatever works. I mean, we have to see, and if there is also like again, if there's a question that is hard to answer, or if there is you can always say, yeah, it's not really okay.
If something will be not good for me or not correct or
Exactly. And basically, how did we meet? I mean, we met first at the Fiera Milano at Linea Appel, where I kind of would had expressed my enthusiasm and my openness to kind of create shoes of my own. Because why do I see this? I feel like shoes are like cars. Shoes are somewhat like cars, and there are like luxury brands, and there are like the more classic brands. And I feel like shoes have the same type of use, because it's still the rubber that is on the street. So it to me, I saw shoes therefore always like somewhat like cars, and I thought that a making a shoe of your own would be very, very interesting, because everybody does t-shirts, everybody does jackets, or top wear and stuff. So making shoes is a challenge of its own, which gives you and exposes you to so much experience in that case. So that gave me the motivation to say, look, I want to work with someone who actually does shoes, and who actually has the know-how, who has the materials, because I started with making shoes a bit of my own. I cut the upper from the original shoe, and then I put on, the uppers of myself
to see how they were made or something like that.
Exactly, just kind of to kind of rebuild, or to see, okay, how do they do it, and what can I do of it? Would it work? I was very open to the results, and you know, as of now, I'm very, very glad that I did this with you. I have to say it was the biggest experience that I had, from making the soles to talking to you what it would cost, especially doing like such a outlandish design with the dent on the back. What possibilities do you have? Sometimes you have to reinvest. Have to pay two times. I'm totally open to that. Not many people are not open to that, and maybe might give up. I'm not sure what your experience is. And currently, me, I am very, very kind of open, or I'm very enthusiastic into to custom design with people. So in your case, it would be like B2C, meaning that if a customer wants to make a shoe of its own, he has to pay the price, right? And he will have like a pair of his own, maybe without the soles, maybe while the sole is already there. Speaking like the projects that we did back in 2020, if you can remember that we have, there was before we had this one, there was also the other. Maybe I can show in front of the camera. Actually, this before we had this one here, this there was um, another one that you used to have like as a mock-up. Do you have it still? Oh yes. Oh yeah. So this would be like one of the next iteration. It's actually the very same shoe um, as the one that I'm wearing now with the sole. And before that, we had something else. With the fishnetty type of front. It didn't have the dent, but it was like a bit of it had the regular shape. Yeah, it had a regular front shape. But we had to kind of reiterate the design process, and many people there are not open to these kind of reinvest and say, look, okay, let me take more hours until actually the job is done. And I mean, it's still a shoe, and I don't think many people will be open to it. So they just want something out for them. I think we did the tour already, and this is I can show that afterwards. Um, so usually, like ex- explain, like for someone who is very new to that type of business, how would you kind of approach them if someone approached you as a fair who does not know? Or so, let's say you approach me, and again, and we would not know each other in the fair. What would you say now to someone like me who has the same ideas? Let's say you have someone who wants to have a shoe from you, wants to make him he draw a design and say, Mr. Goretti, Cloud, can you do this for me?
Normally, when we start a project with a startup or a new brand, they usually don't have almost a correct idea about what they need. Okay, then sometimes they have just an image in their mind, but not really a design. Sometimes. Sometimes they have also a sketch or something like that, and we just have to try in that case to explain them what is possible, what is not possible, which are the main problem to do that, or if that could be suitable or not, or fitting correctly or not. This is our main system to explain them which could be the problem or the question to thought. And then when everything is clear, we start to make a new design of that to to make something which is workable, which is correct for production, for a future production, and explaining any type of eventual problem to the customer.
Okay, okay. I mean, it's the same approach. I can remember that we did this as well because I used to send you like a 3D sketch. I think
Yes.
it was like a 3D image, and you wanted to have like a 2D version of it.
But
So
it was a 3D shape.
it was a 3D
Much
shape.
more than a real project. It was just a first idea of the project, but which was really not complete. Not just was an idea. Okay, good idea, but not totally correct to be made.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it as well, and this is like a common problem in any field of product development. You have the design, which is the idea at first, which is what you want to realize, and then you have the manufacturability. So,
Yes.
is it possible to be manufactured and what steps need to be taken and what cost needs to be considered. All of that stuff is also something that which needs to be also considered if you want to actually design and develop such a shoe. And I've also like learned through that making the dent like in this case it's not that easy, and it requires also an extra step. So you have basically the most that you can get maybe from the customer, or let's say the least, or there's something one thing that you can be 100% assured to get from the customer is somewhat an idea. If they have like something already in their mind, especially from these creative persons, if they have something in mind, they will give you like a sketch, an idea. And this is just the ideal. And it's not something that you can already translate from A to B and then like, okay, there you go. It's like something that you can get out of the oven. Like it's not like that. It's you have to see and check. Okay, what of that is possible and what steps need to be.
The main point is to take the design of the idea and to immediately try to understand which could be the problem, to realize it, and to make it workable.
Yeah.
So this is the main point. After that, we used to remake a new design with any type of comment and type of solution to produce it to make it workable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first step is to start to realize the real prototype, the first prototype,
Yeah.
to see if any eventual problem is still coming or not, and to solve them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, okay, this is a type of work that you do usually with people like myself.
Yes, like with startup.
Exactly, with startups.
Mostly because
Exactly, with people that just maybe start into the shoe industry, or maybe have the funds, or just kind of look towards making a shoe design of their own. Um, you also like have another line of business in which you do consultancy for a select number of brands, or for people, for maybe consultants that also like uh, work with brands, or maybe basically like shoe manufacturers. You mentioned that you do orthopedic shoes right now at that very moment. Maybe kind of give me like a guide, or like a step by step way on how this comes out. Like how does a consultancy or someone who works with these brands approach you usually, and how does it transpire into a real project, especially when you have to travel to China?
normally the approach is not so different from a startup approach, but just the difference is just the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The experience they already have in the market. So normally they don't used to give us any ideas or any project to develop. They just used to search from us new ideas and um, something new to show. Because normally they already have their own products and they just used to um, to search new ideas and someone that could be the creator of their new collection, something like that.
Okay.
So they normally used to ask us to study to make new projects, starting from new designs or something like that, and finally producing also the first samples for them, and then that could be also sent by them or directly by us to China, which mostly is the producer of the main brands, and that could be realized that, and we follow step by step the sample making and everything to improve any detail and before the production. This is the I mean the step. These are the steps of the new projects.
Okay.
But normally they are just searching for new ideas because if they have something already patented or something like that, they don't use to find something else or someone which could work on that project. They usually ask for new ideas and new concepts to be made and to be patented.
Okay. So it's basically to be or to understand it fully, like they don't have like the direct idea like a sketch or something, but they have. I think what they usually approach you with is a list of requirements.
Yes,
Functional requirements.
Normally why they don't have, for instance, designs to provide us to because if they already have new ideas or something like that, they used to develop by themselves.
By themselves, yeah.
They don't normally they have already inside the technician or someone that can realize those ideas.
But what problems do they approach you in that case? I mean, if they don't have like a design problem, you usually do design, or is this a consultancy for basically business processes or production of an already existing design?
No, what they used to search is new ideas, new projects, or they also used to require about technical advice and consultancy to be introduced in China or India or wherever, and to start with new production there. If they still don't have, or if they have problem, and if they want to approach some new areas to produce.
And I'm glad that you mentioned new areas because one of the newest areas or one of the most promising things that I keep stressing in our meeting is basically 3D printed shoes. I'm not sure if how far along you are in that surgeon field. This is something that is not yet widely recognized. I think many people still cling on to like the traditional shoemaking with leather, with all types of vegan material as well. I mean, they have lots of new approaches.
Which could be the future, but which is still not now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to produce a big quantity of shoes,
Yeah.
you don't, you cannot follow that process.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that process is still not for the mass production.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
just to, if you are Nike,
Yeah.
or Adidas, and if you want to produce maybe 300 pairs in limited edition, you
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to produce a mass production for 50,000 pairs about a type of shoe,
Yeah.
you cannot work in this way.
Yeah.
And also, honestly speaking, I tried some of these products and they are not so comfortable.
Okay.
It's something much more for visual, for advertising, for, how can I say,
Aesthetics,
but not for a real production or a standard to be something standard for the consumers.
Yeah, yeah.
At the moment,
yeah.
at the moment. For in the future, I don't know, but at the moment, I think this is my opinion.
I mean, I can imagine and I can relate to that because if you do like regular 3D printing, it takes so much time, especially when you make a life-size shoe or a boot this big. It would take forever to have a shoe of your own.
It has also a cost.
Yeah,
which is not so
it's cost efficient. Yeah,
not so cheap.
will you?
Or maybe not always so cheap.
Do you think the regular shoe price? I mean, you have inflation of the obviously, but how fast do you think the price of the shoe in the market? Let's say you go to Foot Locker, whether you go to Foot Locker or to Antonioli Milano, right, where you have the luxury upper class shoes and stuff. Let's say, how high do you think, or how high do you think the curve will go in terms of the shoe costs for the regular consumer? Of maybe saying from 5 to 10 years. Do you have these numbers in?
I think that not. I think the market is going always cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean in this moment, especially in this moment, also the very big brands are suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
The situation.
What are something
they
that
are suffering the situation because
Gucci, Burberry,
because they they lost a lot of sell, and their prices are still not convenient.
Yeah,
because in this moment the situation of the market is very difficult, and they are suffering much more than the normal brands or the cheaper brand. But generally, what I think is that we are always going to a market which will be, I mean, not really cheap, but not so expensive than before. I mean, even if many people still can buy shoes having a price of 1,000 euro, for instance, this is not the future.
Yeah.
The future is to have a good product with a correct price. Correct price means that that probably the most important brands will cut some of their expenses. Yeah. To make their products more cheap than now. Yeah. Because now when you pay 1,000 for a pair, it's because of the advertising, it's because of many costs that big brands have to support. Yeah. But for the future, I think that they will cut most of these costs to make a product maybe better quality and better price than now. Yeah. This is what I think. Yeah, I mean, because also their quality is not always so. It's not, yeah. So good comparing to their prices. Yeah, yeah. This is the main point. So many of consumers, they really cannot understand the real quality of the shoes. I know. This is the big problem. This is, yeah. When they will better understand, yeah, that the quality of a pair which has a cost of 1,000 euro is not so important comparing to the price, yeah, they will not buy anymore. Yeah. But they will search something with having much more quality and having a price more correct. Yeah, I mean, this is what a good journalist friend of mine also used to say. That the consumer, the customer, is not that they say discerning. So he does not look at the quality, as you said. But if the price is they are not, they are looking, but they cannot really understand.
this is
the quality of the leather.
At least
they cannot really understand if this is real leather or not. Yeah. They cannot understand if this is real leather lining or textile. Yeah. And this is the main point. They cannot really consider which is the real cost of this, because if the real cost of a product that they used to buy is $20, and they pay $1,000, is not convenient for them. Yeah. But they cannot understand. Yeah. Yeah. Or most of them, they cannot understand. And as soon as they understand, and as soon as they say, okay, the price of the buying is very, very cheap, so what am I paying this €1,000 for? This is like when the customer kind of has the why I have to pay just for the name? Yeah, exactly. And I think this has not a real sense. Yeah, to pay 1,000 for a product which has a real cost of maybe $30. Yeah. I cannot pay more than $900 for what? For advertising or the brand or this is not. Yeah. This is not good for. Absolutely. Another side note, which is very interesting. Karl Lagerfeld, the Karl Lagerfeld, the designer. He used to work for Chanel, I think, and what? Karl Lagerfeld. Karl Lagerfeld, the designer, and he used to work for Chanel, right? And I think I heard from somewhere that he used to make a collection of purposely cheap materials, selling this high, and kind of communicating or letting us know, the people that consume the fashion and stuff, right? Yeah, I make this stuff very cheap, but I can sell it to you this high because of the name. On that sense, it was somewhat of the mockery, and I think this is something that he wants to highlight as well. It's just because you buy expensive, that does not mean that the material is also high quality. Sure. And a lot of people do not realize this. And Karl Lagerfeld kind of took advantage of this and said, I can make this collection of knowingly cheap stuff, and you would still buy it. And a lot of these fashion people, they know, okay, it's very expensive. I sell it expensive, yet with still like the cheap material, which is like stuff of their own. Maybe my approach in my case would be kind of, again, I see the shoe as something like a car, and the car can also be maintenance, right? You can change or you can repair stuff. And maybe if, I would allow everyone who buy my shoes to kind of have the experience of, him returning the shoe and either getting stuff repaired or, getting sent a new shoe, to include this into a price model, I think could be somewhat attractive. Do you have similar experience to that type of model? Like, say, I buy that shoe, right? I walk 200,000 kilometers with it, and of course, the sole will be used. Part of the shoe will be used, but I kind of like the shoe so much that I could rely on, sending the shoe back and getting a new shoe for a bit cheaper. Like having something, not just like a shoe, but maybe a shoe brand that gives you this type of service where you can actually exchange a shoe, buy it for a bit cheaper, and have therefore like a relying shoe manufacturer or shoe designer that kind of gives you the opportunity to switch not just the design, but also to maintain like footwear for longer periods of time. Is that something that you could see in the future? A lot of industries, and if you see the summits, and if you see like World Economic Forum, they keep talking about like having the circular economy. I think that something like that it could be more easy for a startup brand than for an important brand. I know. Yeah. I mean the important brands or the main brands used to or need to have important selling.
Yeah.
So they need to have the quantities.
Exactly.
Especially on the basic products. So I repeat, if they make any limited edition products, okay, they can do something like that. They can do something special or something which could be maybe not the best seller of the market, but something which could be appreciated or something like that. But this could be more easy for a startup to make a small production with a particular type of shoe, correct price, and something which could become something special for the consumer, for the buyers. Because as you said before, sometimes to have a different pair of shoes is like a must. Is like something that can say, okay, this guy is very particular guy because has a particular type of shoe, and is individuality. Yes, is something which can explain better about you, and that could be important. But this is not for the mass,
Yeah.
This is not for the mass.
It
It's
is.
just for instance, imagine in this moment, also in USA or something like that, also in Italy, there is a culture of maybe a rap culture or something like that. They used to buy very particular shoes or very limited edition shoes. But this type of shoes used to become like symbols.
Yeah.
Not they are not real the standard ones. They became like how can I say artistic items, like pictures, something like that.
Yeah.
Each pair can be something really special.
Yeah.
So you want to have this pair because you are the only one that can fit this pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Then this is something different than the normal mass production or the standard shoes which are in the market.
Yeah.
So when you make something like that, you can also provide something special. You can maybe have a different price, but this is not I repeat, this is not the mass production or
it is
it's
not
something
it is
special.
irregular. It is absolutely
Yes.
irregular, obviously.
But could be interesting for a startup.
Yeah. I think so too, because I mean, I'm not sure how many people see shoes as something like a car, but I still have that
Not too
idea.
many.
Yeah,
Not too many.
I'm sure not. I'm sure not. But I still have that idea because
Especially if they are not young.
yeah.
If they are people really not so young, for them it's not interesting to have something special. But it just is interesting to have something normal, having a correct price.
Yeah,
This
I think
is
so
the
too.
point.
I think so too. This is because I've been contemplating with this idea for a very, very long time. I mean, something that it could be also very important or very attractive if you kind of combine this with 3D printing, let's say shoes. If you have like single production, not mass production, in case I would not suggest for 3D printing for obvious reasons that you just discussed before. But this is something that I could kind of imagine, like if people want to have like a very unique design of their own, which is like a one of one.
This could be in this case the 3D printing could be much more interesting.
Yeah.
Because in case of limited edition, what I imagine also for the future is that the 3D printing is especially for limited edition products, not for mass production.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because that technology is not studied for the mass production.
No.
It's studied for limited edition.
Yeah.
And this is now, but also for the future, I think it will be the same.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to do 3D printing in mass production, you would have to have such a great plant, like a great room for that, for maybe thousands of 3D printers to print the exact same one project. And I can imagine there's a lot of Chinese companies that don't print just one project with MOQ of 1,000, but they print 3-4 projects. What is the regular number of, in China? How many projects do they actually work on during one window of time? Let's say you visit China for a month, right? You visit the same factory. How many projects are they working on during that time, usually?
You mean one Chinese brand?
One Chinese brand, one Chinese manufacturer, Chinese brand.
It depends. It depends because you can find any type of Chinese brand. I mean, there are Chinese brands which used to produce maybe 5,000 pair of samples each day.
Yeah, exactly.
5,000 pairs, but I mean 5,000 different pairs. Not 5,000 production pair of one model.
Not the copies.
In one day they can produce 5,000 pair of different shoes.
Yeah, this is what. Yeah.
For instance, or they can just produce 100 pairs. But if in China you can find shoe producer which can produce maybe 20,000 of shoes each day, but of the same article, or you can find maybe who can produce 5,000 pair each day, but 5,000 total different pairs.
Yeah.
I mean that pairs will be produced for many different brands, which has to start with the samples, and which will start with another 10 factories to produce a part of these samples.
Yeah.
So their capacity is unlimited.
It is, okay. But if you say, 5,000 pairs of different soles, right?
Yes.
If they do this,
not all of them, a few of them.
And I mean the very few.
Maybe, yes.
I mean the very few. If they do these 5,000 pairs of different soles, can they in the same time, let's say one day, they do 5,000 of these different soles. Can they in the same day also do the 20,000 MOQ or the 5,000 MOQ? That means 5,000 times 5,000. That means a million.
Some of them they have also maybe regular shoe producer working with them, which in the same time they also produce what they a part of their samples.
I mean, it depends, of course, of the project and of the deadlines which is set by the customer or you.
Normally it depends from the trading company capacity, because in China there are a lot of trading companies.
Yeah.
Any of them, they have maybe from 10 to 20 shoe factory working with them.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I'm working with a trading company which has about 10 factories, and each factory is producing each day maybe 10 different type of shoes. So there are different type of trading company, and depending of their capacity, they can produce from 10,000 pair to 30,000 pair each day. It depends.
Okay. I mean, this is then
for many products, and not just for one product.
Yeah.
So, for instance, they can produce 10,000 pair in a day, but 10 different models,
Yeah.
not just one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then, in that case, I can imagine this type of work would be distributed
Yes.
through different trading companies which are in cahoots with each other. So, I mean, if you have one trading company, China Trading Company Co., then you would have other trading officials that are part of that company, but that I kind of distribute the work.
Not trading. Normally, each trading company has a group of shoe factories working with them, working for them.
Yeah.
And they can have 5, 10, or 20, depends, because if they are really big, if the trading company is really big, they have usually more than 20 shoe factory working with them.
Yeah.
And each factory can produce for 3-4 brands.
Yeah.
Many different articles.
Me personally, I think I mentioned it over the phone with you. I mean, I'm thinking about to visit China as well, and I kind of think I need to see the process of how this is done myself. I mean, to me, it's not a problem to pay for the flight and all of that. This is something that is not an issue for me. Maybe I'd have to also like invest into kind of getting with you on that way. You already told me the price of that, but you can send me like a catalog, or I can write like a list of the prices, and then you can confirm me. Okay, this is.
Yes, we can discuss about that, but yeah. As I already told you, I can introduce you in China on few of my partners.
Yeah.
As I already did, and as I used to make with my European customers, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can introduce you there. We can fly there for a week, and we can visit some companies, and we can also discuss with them your event or production about our products. And
yeah, I definitely will consider this. There's one also, like you already mentioned that the big companies also are suffering, so you are already familiar with the news, which I also read and seen. There's a lot of big fashion houses that are currently also suffering due to their failed sales, especially in Asia and China. Me personally, I know that fashion.
You mean the fashion brand?
Fashion brands, yeah, big fashion.
In this moment, they are especially suffering because they lost a big part of Asian market.
Thank you for taking that word.
because the Asian market was very important for them.
Yeah, it's their main customer base. Actually,
as you know, especially in China, there are a lot of people very rich which like to buy Gucci, Armani, or Ferragamo, or something like that.
Exactly.
But in this moment, they are these brands lost a very big part of their market, also there in China, because also in Asia in this moment the situation is not so exciting.
I heard that too, because I forgot the main reason, but I think
the main reason is is very, very easy. After COVID, 2-3 wars started. So one of the main, for instance, China lost a lot of orders from Europe, from Russia, because of the war, from Germany because of the situation. Also India. India is one of the biggest producer for German market, for European market, but especially for German market. And the most important Indian brands, last 2 years they lost from 40 to 60% of orders starting from Germany. coming from Germany. The most important brands from India lost these orders from Germany. Imagine the not so important brands, how they lost. So this is a very important question. This is a very important question for why the situation why the reason of this situation in the world, because China market lost a part of European orders and Russian orders, and also domestic market orders because of the situation, which is not so exciting also in China. So also many European producers came back from China for many reasons, because of maybe the war is also in this moment delaying all their orders, and then if you have to wait for an order for 1 month is okay. If you have to wait for 3 months, it's not the same. So there are a lot of reasons for this situation. But okay, one of the reasons is the global economic situation.
Yeah.
But the global economic situation is also depending by the war.
Yeah.
By the wars.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. You have also like a lot of political and, as you said, political and economic implications that came with, a lower interest in buying. But I mean, what I can imagine is, China has a trade fair, and one of the things that I also am very excited as a shoemaker myself is to kind of introduce that to the Asian market. I'm not sure how receptive they are, because I think they are more interested in the more known brands, of course.
No, this is not the main reason. They are more interested to the very popular brands.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because the very popular brands used to give them big orders. Because the problem is that, I don't know if we already discussed about that, but usually when you go to China and if you want to place an order, you have to place an order starting from 1,500 pairs, one model, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Even if now is not the same.
Yeah.
Now you can also order less.
Yeah.
Also about 300 or 500 because of the situation.
Yeah.
But normally they are searching for brands who can order them each season, maybe 50,000 pairs, 100,000 pairs, you know that.
Yeah. But
so this is the main point.
But the brands that you work with, I'm sure I can imagine, or I'm actually not sure, but I'm sure the brands that you work with, they also target the Asian market for the reasons that the Asian market at least used to make orders for brands like Gucci and the bigger brands that are known, the popular brands. Did brands approach you, or do you know of brands that you work with as your customer that kind of imagine to target these kind of Chinese markets as well? Is the Asian market actually that attractive to these types of brands? Do they intend to sell that?
Yes, it's still attractive, because in any case there are a type of shoes that you cannot realize in Europe or in Italy or in Germany or wherever, or even if in India.
I'm not talking as a customer, but I'm talking about actually selling shoes like this to Chinese customers instead of European. Yes.
Normally the most important brands they use and they want to enter the Chinese market, because it's very big and very important for them. But of course, they are also interesting. They are also interested to produce there.
Yeah.
Because they know very well that they cannot produce out of China.
Yeah.
Such type of shoes.
Yeah.
Or maybe not all.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if we talk about leather type shoes or all leather type shoes, they can also move to other countries like Portugal, like Spain, like Italy, because these countries are still maybe the best one for making leathers or something like that, but not for the prices, of course, comparing to China. But if you need to produce very high quality shoes, of course, you can still produce in Europe than in China.
Yeah.
But even if you produce in China, you can also have a very very good product if you pay a correct price and if you know the correct Chinese companies.
Yeah, yeah. Then because I mean, this is something very interesting to kind of ask because entering into China obviously is one of the most, or not just China, Asia in general. Entering, let's say, is like entering into the Chinese market is to me very very interesting, and I think if Chinese people, or if not just Chinese but Asian people in general, if they hear like, okay, this is made in Europe, this is produced in Europe, I think this is something that is attractive to them. I mean, or a lot of people, they see the high price and say, okay, this is something that is attractive, this must be luxury. Or is the Chinese consumer, speaking from your experience, is the Chinese consumer already, like, as you say, does he know what he's actually buying? Is he more known about the material? Is he more familiar or educated about the material that he actually is buying?
Chinese consumers, they want to buy the brand.
Yeah.
They want to buy Gucci or Prada or
the brand,
because they are focused on brands mainly.
Yeah.
Not always they take care about the quality or something like that. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't care about quality, but if they want to buy a product, the product must be a brand.
Yeah.
This is the main point.
Yeah.
Much more than the real quality of the product. I mean a part of consumers, not all of them.
Yeah.
But when you
you're right.
when you want to buy something which really identify you want to buy Gucci or you want to buy Prada or you want to buy Armani or Dolce Gabbana, you know that. And they are probably one of the main population which really like the brands.
Yeah.
They really follow the brand. They really want to have the brand because they want to show in this way that they are rich.
Yeah.
And when you want to show that you are rich, you need to have Gucci or Prada or something like that.
Yeah. One of the brands that I see a lot, and it's a brand that I liked. I almost bought the shoe. I think I already showed you, Rick Owens. I showed you the pair of shoes. I'm not sure if you've seen them already. Wait, I think I have the image more up here. I have it in the wait, I have it in the favorites. I think. No, I did not. No. Damn. Wait.
It was a pair from who?
It is a pair of his name. The name of the brand is Rick Owens, and Rick Owens.
Rick Owens.
Yeah, Rick Owens.
I know this brand.
Yeah, exactly. And he has like the shoe with the so many thousand laces. This is the one shoe that I said I want to buy this. It was like 1,200.
But you.
Yeah, me.
But you know, probably this pair of shoe
Yeah.
or this type of shoe will be not a bestseller. You know what?
Yeah,
I mean?
it is not as it
But
won't be,
okay, if you buy, it's a way to say, okay, this is me. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It is a form to express your
Yes,
individualism,
yes,
basically.
yes,
That
yes.
you are not like, here's the. This is I tried these ones on in Milan and they fitted perfectly. But I said, look, no, I rather go and start to build my own. But yet and still, if I found this piece, I mean, I think I would. If I have the money,
Yeah,
if it has
okay.
resale value, I probably.
I explain you something. This is a reason why you could be a particular producer. I mean, the problem is your name.
Yeah, exactly.
Not your name. I mean,
I understand.
because you are not Rick Owens, you
Exactly.
are not Gucci, or not Prada. Otherwise, you can produce something like that. You can sell for 1,500 euro.
Yeah.
One pair, no problem.
Yeah.
Because I can show you something really crazy, which was sold for 1,400 pair, 1,400 euro, one pair, and only a crazy man can buy. But you cannot imagine that that pair of shoe can be produced and sold in maybe 20,000 pair.
Yeah.
Maybe just in 3,000 pair.
Yeah.
In 300 pair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this way you can be someone that can produce something like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is not to create or produce 300 pairs of that, of something really special.
Yeah.
Is to sell.
Yeah, it is.
Because
it is.
Because you should sell.
Yeah.
For a price of 1,000 euro.
Yeah.
But you have not the name.
Exactly.
To sell for that price.
Exactly. This could be
the difficult.
Yeah. This is the
point.
The fashion.
But you can try.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you can try.
Yeah.
If I would be a startup, I will try to do that.
Yeah.
Because I know very well that it's very difficult to sell maybe 10,000 pair or 20,000 pair.
Yeah.
So I will try to sell just 500 pairs.
Yeah.
And having a very big profit.
Yeah.
This is what I will try to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the interesting part that I see, or that I think in fashion, because, you know, okay, an artist can be, and you know, if you make some crazy art, right, you have to be able to sell it, and selling it would be not just having it on display, but also having it display in front of the right audience, in my opinion. So what my next goals would be kind of to make showrooms in order to say, okay, this is what I do. Especially I would do this in Asia, and you know, just showcasing them what I do, letting people know, okay, this is how I work, this is what you can buy, basically, and seeing, okay, how would be the results. But also like to work with a lot of people within this type of industry. This is the part of marketing. Fashion marketing, especially in fashion, or let's say in art, is very, very expensive. And I I can confirm that, or I accepted this fact a long time ago. And to me, it is like something that it is a matter of years to kind of cultivate your own name, your own brand amongst your peers, amongst these people. Like also not just to the guy from London that wanted to come here, but also to other people. And, you know, I'm very, very open to the outcome, but I'm not very like, I don't say, okay, oh, I just did this, or I did just that, and this is how I want to be always, or, oh, did this not work out and I have to give up or something. But just have to go on and just be open to outcome. What comes out of this? What does that? And the invest must be made. This is how I see it.
I think that this This question is very interesting because it's difficult but also exciting.
Yeah.
To make something really new.
Yeah.
And to produce in a limited edition.
Yeah.
Really a limited edition.
Exactly.
Don't worry about to sell a lot of pairs, but just to your shoes need to be like a must.
Yeah.
So just few people in the world has to buy.
Yeah.
Like as you said before, like a Ferrari or like a Lamborghini or something like that.
Exactly.
They need to be. They has to become a must for the people who buy.
Yeah.
The only question is that to do that, you always need to have something really particular.
Yeah.
And to have something really particular means that you cannot use any soles already in the market.
Yeah.
And this is the main problem, because when you have to open a mold, you know that you have to pay to open a mold.
Yeah.
And so you have to afford this cost, but you absolutely need to have for each product a different mold.
Yeah.
A different mold, and to be really unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have to consider very well the cost, because you have just to produce 300 pairs or 500 pairs and sell.
Yeah.
But for a very big price, for a very expensive price. Not for 200 euros.
Exactly.
But for 1,000 euros.
Exactly.
No problem.
Exactly.
Because you have to sell just limited edition shoes.
Yeah. I mean,
because you cannot fight with the brands.
No, I don't
produce 20,000, 30,000. You cannot.
Of course, this is the thing that this
is not impossible.
Yeah,
it's not possible. Also for a brand, a medium brand, it's not possible. And imagine for you.
You have to carry the costs that they carry, without even the prospect of selling that much. This is why I see. Okay, I don't want to do bulk orders. I don't want to do large scale manufacturing. For what? Because I need to sell the idea is, abstractly speaking, to sell before you make it, because there you can create the demand, i.e. you can create already then the scarcity, and then you can also have like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for the next drop. You need
to have a very good advertising on social network.
Yeah, exactly.
You can sell online.
Yeah.
And you can sell to, for instance, just 20 important shops. 5 pairs here, 5 pairs there, 5 pairs there.
Yeah.
Not more.
Yeah.
Any person that entered the shop has to say, okay, this product is very unique. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I cannot find in another place, for instance, because I can find only in one shop in Italy, one shop in Germany, one shop in Brazil, one shop in London. Only one shop.
Yeah.
In a country.
Yeah. One shop per country. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have just 300 pairs all in the world.
Yeah.
But selling easy in any case, because you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's not easy. Eh?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy.
But it's a point. It's an important question, in my opinion.
I'm sure
I always thought about that. If I never really thought to do that. Yeah. Because I always had a lot of customers to follow and something like that. Yeah. But if I have to start with something like that, I will do that.
Yeah, and I think the one major approach, in my opinion, is to start a small showroom. I mean, I can imagine going to Asia next year, to Korea, to China, to Japan, Vietnam. Yeah, also.
Vietnam is one of the best producers also.
Yeah, not just
together with China.
Not just
a little bit more expensive, but also well working.
Yeah, but not just to produce, but also to kind of introduce the brand in front of the Asian audience. And if And if I like open this up as a showroom,
If
I'm
I can
sure.
suggest you should open in China, Korea,
Yeah.
South Korea, of course.
South Korea, yeah.
London.
London.
I don't say any other cities in Great Britain.
Yeah.
I just say London.
London, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Why? Because you can imagine well why. London, and then maybe Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Paris.
Of course, where do you have the fashion weeks? Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Maybe Singapore or Shanghai.
Yeah, Singapore is also.
But 10 cities.
Yeah.
Not more. 10 cities.
Yeah.
Each city, 20 pairs.
Yeah.
Stop.
This is something.
Or 50 pairs.
Yeah. This is something I would definitely brainstorm. I mean, my approach has to be still a bit subtle because I have to kind of be prudent with my financial resources, of course. But
to do that, first you have to create the demand. You have to create an interest.
And this is why
through the social media, because when I see a video, your video, I have to think myself, where can I buy this shoe? Where? And you have to create my interest.
Yeah.
And then if I want, I have to go to Rome.
Yeah.
I have to go to London. I have to go to Shanghai or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think.
Not in any place.
No. I don't want to make
maybe
this
one city in Germany.
Yeah.
Maybe Munich or Düsseldorf or Stuttgart or Frankfurt or I don't know.
I even thought about doing like, especially if you think about this one-of-one thing, I even thought about like doing a special service for someone who is ready to pay an exact price, the right price, to kind of me personally bringing them the shoe and have the full personal, like it has something like a prestige, like someone like maybe a butler or something.
We forgot something very interesting, very important. USA.
Of course.
USA need to have maybe also 2-3 points to sell.
I will be also in Art Basel after this.
Because if you can have someone who can buy in New York your product,
yeah,
you can very well start, because it will be easy to hear about your shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I mean, definitely. I mean, I have to. My next step would be kind of to go on a world tour, basically, and have a showroom. Just introduce myself. Okay, here I am. Whoever passes by, there may be people interested, there may be people not interested, and then I can kind of scan and see the demand. And if I see the demand accordingly, from then on I can kind of nudge and say, okay, there I will open the store. I will open the first store maybe in Korea, because there's a lot of people that signed up to maybe buy one of these shoes, right? They say I want to be in Korea. Ideally, I would also have like people to send me their foot size, give me the foot size sample and stuff. Go back to you and say, look, I found these and these people. They already paid, and then I can forward you the money. Then we can kind of start from there. This is kind of my approach, kind of starting up slow. And me personally, I don't think I'm looking forward to do mass production for the moment, because in fashion it's become increasingly unattractive to have mass production and have such a big waste, because they keep telling us fashion industry is one of the biggest contributors to global warming and stuff. So having like such big waste due to large amount of quantities, and because you cannot sell it in time, is something that is not very attractive to me, especially not in the start.
You know that we can realize any type of shoe, type.
We did already.
We can also make a very small production when you need, you know.
Yeah.
If you need a few pairs for your advertising or something like that, we can do everything.
Yeah.
So the only question is to produce to have the source.
Exactly.
To make the new project.
Yeah.
This is the main point.
Yeah.
The main problem also.
Yeah.
Because if you want to develop a few different projects, you need a few different type of source. You can do that. You can make the molds in China and everything, but absolutely you need to be unique.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, no sense to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to be unique as possible without, trying to reinvent the wheel completely. But, I mean, we have to just wait and see. I mean, again, we have to consider the outcomes without being too much influenced by them. I mean, this is just something that I have seen all of the times. Maybe I've talked about much about me and about marketing. I think this type of approach is something that can be applied to a lot of future product, not just shoe developers, but also like product developers who want to start their own brand. Is the way to kind of make sure to sell it before you actually before you make it. Like it doesn't help you if you start with the product itself. You have, 10,000 pairs somewhere stored just to rot and just to be eaten off by rats, partially, or by any type of rodents. In somewhere in a factory, it does not help you if you keep it stored there. It will develop mold. It will develop it will become wet and stuff. I think the next approach would be low quantity, kind of just-in-time production, and kind of to smell the demand of the customer at the right time, and then strike while the iron is hot. This is kind of my approach, and I think this is the approach that many more people should take, especially when selling like tangible products. So I think one of the last things I would love to kind of talk about here is I think we'll go through the history of your shoemaking, like who started it. I mean, you already mentioned it before, so I think in your case it would be also like interesting to kind of give me an insight of your experiences, like how did it start? You can maybe give me a timeline.
My father started in 1969. He was a technician and a designer, also an artist, because he was not only a shoe designer but also he was also able to make pictures, to make he was really an artist. But okay, he started with the shoe designer company, and I was when I was 16 years old, I was also starting with him. He asked me to start with this work.
Yeah.
And okay, I was excited about that, even if my dream was to be an engineer, but and also an architect. But I tried to with this new job, and I stopped my study.
Yeah.
And started, and then when I was 21 years old, I already was one of the main director of my company, and after that I started to make an exhibition in the world, and started working with many brands in the world. And as you see, we knew each other in Milano in the Aprile Fair.
Yeah.
And now we already are in the third generation because also my son is working on shoe business, and he is helping me sometimes because he is also working for another brand, and so we hope to continue also for the future, because this is our history and our family job, but who knows?
Yeah, especially who knows. The next question, and I think the one of the rather final questions I have is, when it comes to talent search. I mean, Germany, you have the resounding news of the lack of talent in the job market, and people are scrambling and scraping and looking for new talent, especially when it comes to DIY, or when it comes to metalworking, for example. The metal industry in Germany is kind of suffering a lack of young talent that is ready to work. And one of the things that makes this job particularly unattractive in Germany is like the low pay, especially compared to the high cost. I'm not sure how it is in Italy, also with the new government, but I mean, to me, it's just kind of interesting, like, especially in such a niche market with like shoe market. But Italy is known for its shoes, but is it still hard to find new talent, especially when you kind of have to restructure? And how do you imagine to kind of find those types of talents? What ways do you want to make this job, any type of position inside of Goretti's design studio, attractive to a younger audience?
Today, this type of job is not so attractive as before.
Yeah.
Because in Italy we lost and we are losing a lot of shoe producer.
Yeah.
And then also we had some important fashion school which were closed, and because young people don't like as before to become a shoe designer or a fashion designer. I'm not saying that all of them don't like, but not as before.
Yeah.
And then today everything was changed. Most of them today like to be a singer or influencer or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, also connected to the fashion, okay, because they dream about something more to be famous or something like that. But it's really difficult today to find even if I search maybe new designers who can help me. It's difficult to find someone that really has a good experience or really like to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you cannot find, but very less than before.
I can imagine. I'm sure that most of the talent, talent in the abstract way, has moved to China. And you get most of the production and actually the craftsmanship is predominantly maybe in China and India. So I can imagine, coming forward, that a lot of this expertise will be found.
You can find more there.
Yeah.
In India and China, you can find more.
Yeah.
Because of the school also.
Exactly.
Because there are many schools for that, and when a population is 1,300,000 is more easy to find who can really be in the future a good designer or something like that than in Italy or in Germany or in Great Britain or France.
Yeah, I mean,
population is also important especially if is a young population.
Yeah, and this is also what I kind of I'm not sure with the Chinese population. I think they are now allowed to produce more offspring, more children.
Yes, now they have.
Yeah, they used to be allowed just one. Now they are allowed to have more children, and but I'm not sure how old or I'm not sure about the demographic in China, but I can imagine that in Germany or in Europe especially, you have a lot of people that imagine to become like influencer stuff and do like more directing stuff, maybe just kind of aesthetic. They like the aesthetics of it. They don't like the hard work that is behind the curtain, and so they are more interested in actually directing designs.
They would like to have everything immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Not starting learning and taking time, because it's not so easy to make this job or other similar job.
Yeah.
You need to have a great experience.
Yeah.
You very long time to learn everything, and each day, even now, I have something to learn each day.
Yeah.
Even if I have more than 42 years experience, each day I can learn something new.
Exactly. Yeah.
Each day. So you cannot in 1 year or 2 years or 10 years learn everything. So when you take time, when you take a long time, and if you are young, you don't want to wait for a long time, but you want to be famous in a very short time, or you want to be rich in a very short time.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes you try to follow other way, like to be a singer or a rapper or influencer. Or it's more easy.
But even in that case, I mean,
not easy, but maybe more faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the dopamine rush of putting out bodies of work through music, through videos, through photos of Instagram, social media and stuff. They get this dopamine in their head and say, okay, I did something now. I produced something that is of today's value, without even realizing, okay, it takes a bit more to just, to do even that stuff, even doing TikToks, even doing these videos. It's also work, because it's already a lot of people do this. In music as well, like whether you are a DJ or you do rap music.
But this is something that you cannot really touch.
Yeah.
And maybe if we have 100 people, one person can do that.
Yeah.
But not all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some of them, they have to produce.
Yeah.
Some of them, they have to do something really that you can really touch.
Yeah.
Because if all of us would be like influencer or TikToker or something like that, that means that we cannot make really nothing.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
We just speak or imagine something, but this is not the reality.
It is not.
The reality is to touch this.
Yeah.
Is to make this.
Exactly. Yeah.
To be able to produce something.
Yeah.
This is the real life.
Yeah.
Not just to follow someone on the iPhone.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think this is what I'm seeing in any case is kind of the real hard work, hardware, everything that is tangible, everything that you can touch.
We are losing that. We are losing what is really tangible, and we are just trying to make or to follow something that is really in the air.
This is going really to Asia, and I think the Chinese people, they realize this, and they have like systems. I think maybe, I'm not sure, they have systems in place. They also have a lot of TikTokers. I think they have an app of their own. It's not really TikTok, but it's another app from the global company Tencent. But they still have a lot of workers in hardware. They have standards, they have norms with which they can produce all types of products. You have bottles, you have cameras, you have the shoes, you have everything that they are already almost ready to make because they have such a system at hand. And this allows them to kind of, be the next economic power. And I don't know, do you consider, I mean, if all, I'm not sure, I hope it does not happen, but if all falls apart, how good is your Chinese language? Do you consider kind of? I'm sure you already have partners that work in China as contractors, but do you also consider having another office there, like maybe a Chinese?
China?
Yeah, Chinese
No,
citizenship.
I thought about that, and it was some people from China told me, why don't you open an office in China?
Yeah.
Because why? Because to stay there, I should say stay there.
Yeah.
I should stay here and there at the same time.
Yeah.
So if one of my sons would like to stay there, okay, I could stay here, he could stay there. At the same time, we have two very good locations.
Yeah.
But if I cannot stay there because my main place is here, I cannot control well what another person from China or from Italy can do staying there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not convenient for me. I thought about that many times, but in the same time, I should say here and there.
Yeah.
If not, you need to have a person who really is like you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he has to be like a person of your family.
Yeah.
Or a person that you trust very well. Otherwise, you cannot control anything.
Absolutely.
And today is also very easy to be in contact with any place in the world.
Yeah.
By video call.
Especially,
it's not a problem to really have an office there if you really can't stay there.
Yeah. I mean, this also like inspired another question because the one way to make this stuff more attractive to the audience, I think we have 1 hour-ish left. Yeah. This inspired like another question because there's a way I think in which you can make this business more attractive to people. I think. I mean, you have to just see and look. Do you invite, or do you have workshops on your own, or organize such events in which you can invite people just to have a look inside, just like myself right now, as I'm doing, like have a room tour, maybe allow people to make the shoe of their own, maybe to kind of, if they pay, of course. I mean, this makes it more attractive to you to open such a workshop. So let's say you invite, 10 people, right? 10 people from, it can be all around the world, to Porto Sant'Elpidio to organize such thing and say, or, maybe Italian people from Europe, because it seems to be not that attractive, but, invite them, allow them to kind of work on these machines, right? And then have like a shoe of their own by that regard. Maybe have someone that watches over their shoulder, not that they kind of mess up the stitch and it becomes just like a.
It's difficult to organize that.
Yeah.
Because especially now, before maybe it was better than now, but now it's difficult to organize that because you need to have a very big place with all the machinery and everything to show. If you want to make something like, I don't know, a workshop to share to some talented person, or how to do that, how to which is the process of to create a new model or something like that. Everything can be made, but it's not so easy to organize that in this way in this moment, because my work now is totally different, as I explained you before. My main work now is to just to realize new projects for new brands or something like that.
Just to oversee, maybe oversee, people that projects, companies want to start in China, basically. Is that the best way to kind of? You already said it. You don't have to repeat it, but in consultancy, especially, especially if you travel to China, the customers tell you, okay, we want to do this project going on. We want to produce 10 orthopedic shoes, for example, and we would like to produce them in China, and we would need you to kind of source the factory, to kind of get in cahoots with the trading companies that are involved with them, to kind of oversee the manufacturing process. This is basically the job that you kind
of my main job in this moment is to develop the new projects for the startup, or for the shoe industries which need to develop new projects. And I show you something. This is our system to work.
Okay.
I think you remember that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So we when someone or a startup or a shoe company requires something, some new projects, we start with developing new designs and something like that, and then we realize everything: the shoe maquette, the shoe prototype, the sole maquette, and everything, and then everything is ready to be produced. And in this way we can together with the startup or together with the shoe company, we can take with us everything to China, or send to China, and then go there for a week, for instance, to follow everything and to start. I introduced the company to my Chinese supplier, and they start to make the samples and organize the production and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically your main line of business. Also, is like to work with people like myself or any type of size of startup, basically to kind of realize the shoe production. Okay. Okay. In that's so the other would be, as I said. I mean, I think I can replay the interview, and then I can check. Okay, because of the consultancy, as far as I understand, is basically to introduce them with new ideas, if I understood right.
No, I can.
It's a bigger company.
My consultancy is to make new projects, or just to introduce them there, and to solve for them all the technical problems on their collection.
Okay.
Because sometimes they also required me to go there to check everything there about their production.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, for instance, they have some products. They need to search a company which can produce for them. So they want to be introduced there, but they also need a person like me who can explain to the factory everything, to make the new samples, and then everything to make the mass production, which also has other problems.
Yeah,
because you have to teach them to make everything. To solve any problem on the shoe.
Okay. No, I think this is, I think, a bit more. And now I kind of, through this repetition, I kind of understand it a bit more. But it's something that I was also familiar with, and that I used to kind of follow also with other people that do the same, let's say in Bangladesh or in India, when it comes to shirts and stuff.
I used to do the same also in India, for instance.
Yeah. I mean, this is the way. Of course, we cannot show it on the camera, but this is the way you can you create your tech packs. Basically, you have the lateral side, then you have the sole. Basically, the design. I think I've seen it as well. You the way you do it.
Then we make all the color version with the material combination and everything. And
Okay. I mean,
but these are also a part.
Yeah.
But we also make very crazy projects, and these are the standard.
This is basically of course. This is
this is our system to work.
Yeah, this is the modus
This is
operandi.
just to share you our system to work that you already knew.
Exactly. I mean, I can imagine for the future, like if I was to think what's next, the one thing that I could imagine to make this more attractive, because I was approached by another German business partner who was also very interested in kind of, or who knows people that could be interested in these to realize these shoes. I told him as well, we need to do more workshops. We need to let people introduce how to make such stuff, how to basically sell a shoe. Maybe they have this in their distant imagination, but if we show them, okay, at least how it is done, people can learn, and then they can still decide, okay, whether they want to proceed or not. So this is kind of my idea, in which I could make this more attractive to all types of audiences, to the younger audiences especially, if they can have an introduction into kind of creating shoes. And I know it is very, very hard, especially in Italy. But if we find the right people that would be interested in such stuff, I'm more than open to kind of make these types of workshops, and invite people in. They pay for the flights, they pay for the ticket, they pay to see you, they pay to see the people that teach them this stuff. Maybe it is a school that pays, maybe it is someone else that pays, a large institution, a company, it could be anyone. But at least to have like a walk, and then to a school that have still some of these machines left that you also use, and then to kind of have a hands-on approach. Maybe there's some parts of the operation that needs to be done by the experienced people, but at least to have like to get a hands-on into stuff and not be afraid because of their lack of because they have no experience, not to be afraid, but just to have like a hands-on, okay, this is how you do a shoe. And if some of them see, okay, oh, this is how you do it. It wasn't that hard after all. So if they already did it, right? If they was on the table over there and said, okay, this is how you do. Okay, this is how I kind of put it on. And then, okay, here you have the product. And if you have the finished product, right? And if they can hold it in their hands and say, this is what I, even in parts, right? Even if I did one part, if they hold this in their hands and say, oh, this is what I did. This is awesome. I can imagine doing more. Then maybe we can
This is like a school.
It is a school. It is a school.
You have something like that in Milano.
Yeah.
Assolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
But this is also a school.
Yeah.
This is just a school. And you cannot, you cannot have something as you are requiring in that school. You have just to go to the school. I mean, if you know someone that really want to learn about this type of work, he has to go. He has to go to the school and do years of things. Because that school is just 3 months school.
Oh, it's just 3 months. Okay, so therefore, okay, that makes
sense. And they can just live there for 3 months.
Wow. Okay.
And then they can teach everything.
That's okay. I thought if you said school,
they can teach everything. Okay, as a school.
Yeah.
After you have to be day by day inside the factory, and exactly. You make practice.
Yeah.
But as a school, this is the most important school in the world.
Yeah.
In Milano.
Okay. That's good that you mentioned this.
And I think just 3 months.
Yeah.
You can.
3 months is also very, very good. For someone to kind of introduce that, I think, in my opinion, I feel like you can also kind of shorten this a bit, right? Because I have to say, and this is something that you noticed also, the attention span of people is this low. They don't have that they don't take that much time to focus on one thing for a long period of time. They lose the focus very, very quick. So they see this, like they see this stuff, they see the daily operations for 1 2 days, and afterwards they maybe like forget or something. They not necessarily forget, but they may lose the interest of that. So I think if you change this stuff from too much a bit shorter model, like for 1 week, but they pay, right? For 1 week, you can give them like a glimpse. This is my opinion. It doesn't have to be followed, or you can kind of say, okay, yeah, this is. I don't know the situation here, but you said it already because they don't like that type of talent. But if you make this exclusive enough to have to give them only 1 week of time to just see what you do, I think this gives them like maybe the best thing that you can get out of it. This is, do you have more? And then you can actually introduce them to that school in Milano. I'm not sure how many people, and I'm sure if the number of attendees in that school has decreased, maybe it has increased, but I can see that all of this talent and especially all of this work is increasingly moving to Asia, moving to India, moving to China. So one way to kind of relocate or bring that back to Europe is maybe just the suggestion out of an uneducated opinion is to kind of bring this back through shorter workshops, to giving them the sweet side, so to speak, for just a short time. And afterwards they can still say, hey, I got that spark and I got interested. This I'm not sure if that was done before. Maybe it was, maybe it was not.
I don't know, but anyway, it's not so easy to be organized.
I'm not sure. I'm
It's
sure.
not so easy
I can imagine.
because maybe in the past I could say yes, we can.
Yeah.
But not now.
Yeah.
Not now because you need to have a space.
Yeah.
Space and you need to have an organization that now is difficult to be. How can I say to be to be made
To kind of create the events like this, you mean? An
it's
organization who's ready
it's
to
difficult to create
to host.
an event like that.
Yeah, to host
because
something.
you need to combine different things and different location and different people also.
Yeah.
And if 10 years ago it was more easy than now, but now it's really not easy. I think for me.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, since the friend of mine that I connected with, he suggested me that as well. So he wanted to create such an event similar to that, not in shoe business, but also in other businesses, more in digital businesses.
It's different.
It is different because in digital is very, very easy, but you still have to kind of organize the itinerary, like from our location, from all the different locations to that locations, organize, manage the payment, who is coming, like how many places do we have to book as hotels.
Yes.
Who can we hire to, in your case, watch over the shoulders and stuff, and in your case you need more people for that, who can watch over the shoulders, especially like in that case, if you want to kind of make a shoe, I can imagine it can be very, very hard. But especially if you're Italian, if my Italian is not that strong.
No, but you know what I mean. If I have to organize something like that, the best way to do that could be first of all to explain something about our work.
Yeah.
After that, to share them how a model can be done.
Yeah.
And then okay, first how could create. Then how can be done, then how can be stitched,
Yeah.
then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Then how can be lasted, and
all of that. Yeah, it has.
It's different than organize a digital convention.
Yeah,
no?
it is.
Or
Creating a shoe has so many types of designs,
yeah,
which requires
so many types of different
work.
yes,
The operations, basically,
yes,
the
different
manufacturing
operation,
process.
different process.
Yeah,
Yes,
manufacturing process.
and
Yeah,
each process has to be totally perfect.
yeah,
Because if one of them is not perfect,
the whole shoe
the
is.
final result will be not good.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's not easy.
yeah,
I told you.
yeah,
That's why, in my opinion, a school like Ars Tutoria in Milano is the best solution, because
yeah,
they can do everything.
yeah.
Because they have also all the machinery to explain to the boys to everything in any step, you know.
Mhm.
That if you want to make a video to the samples, and if because if you need to put some images on your video or on social media, I don't know, you can.
Yeah, of course, of course. We can do this in the end. I mean, for the last question that I would ask, basically, what would you recommend, or do you recommend some content? Do you have like an interesting YouTube video, maybe of your own, or maybe of some other producers, or some book of the school that you would recommend to someone who's interested in making and developing shoes? Do you have like a shoe Bible or a shoe production Bible that you have here in your office somewhere that you would recommend, or that you usually use for yourself, basically?
No, I don't use any of them. What can I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just you and you execute, right?
Yes.
I just made the hand
What
sign.
can I recommend is to, if guys ask me, do you know any school which I can go to learn about this type of job? I can say Ars Tutoria Milano.
Asutoria Milano.
Ars
Wait, let me.
Tutoria Milano. Yes, this is the best school in Europe. It's the best school I can recommend concerning if you need to learn about design, about much more about technical details. You want to learn about how to make a model, or how to realize, how to stitch, and all the technical details. This school is the best one.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I mean, for anything else, I will send you the whole footage of the video. You can see it for yourself. I mean, we exchange information, which is not that it doesn't go too deep into your proprietary work. So, but it was a very very interesting exchange that I had, and I hope I can use this somewhere, in German in journalism, because this is how journalists usually work. They kind of collect information,
and then they
put it together.
They cut the text. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it requires this,
I
but
can imagine.
yeah, but and I mean, you can then submit it towards magazines or somewhere. I mean, we have to see. I know one person in particular that I would love to kind of introduce that interview towards, because he talks a lot about business and fashion,